I regularly get asked what my EDC or everyday carry items are. This month, Charlie from Southern California gave the topic kind of an interesting spin. Charlie from Southern California wrote, Desert Dog, you are the epitome of a gentleman hunter. Your ethos is grounded in ethics, and you are witty, well spoken, and practical. You also have great tastes for well made things. I am curious to know, what does a gentleman hunter, such as yourself, EDC, here in California? Since I've never been called a gentleman hunter before until now, I decided to reveal my personal EDC to my viewers so you could decide for yourself. Charlie inspired me to make this video, but I'd like you to participate as well. And before I go any further, I understand that the term gentleman hunter could have dual meaning here. So let me clarify that I will not be discussing the homosexual undertones of such an interpretation. So, am I really a gentleman hunter, like somebody like Frederick Courtney Selous? Or am I just a really brash guy who loves the outdoors and likes practical things like Ernest Hemingway? I honestly don't know, and I'll let you be the judge of that based solely upon my EDC. Since I have a CCW, I'm usually carrying a firearm. Most of the time, I carry a compact Glock on me. This is a Generation 3 Glock 23 that I've carried almost every day for 25 years. It has never failed me or malfunctioned and has tens of thousands of rounds through it. I did a little trigger work to this about 20 years ago to get it perfect for me. I also shot out the factory barrel on this and replaced it with a custom stainless steel Barstow barrel. I also added Trijicon sights to it, and that's it. It's a cheap, accurate, reliable firearm that I'd bet my life on if I had to. And this gun has been in many outside the waistband and inside the waistband holsters over the years, but it currently sits in a Tenacore Velo 5 holster. And this system is just automatic for me right now. Sometimes in the summer months or with light clothing, I'll carry a smaller 9mm on me. And this is an older M&P 9 Shield that's been just as reliable for me as my old Glock. And I just love this little gun. But sometimes, especially in the summer months, I just want a pocket carry, especially when I'm wearing, shorts in the summer. And this is my pocket carry pistol right here. And this is a Car P9. This is a double action only pistol, and I use this if I'm going to carry a gun in my pocket rather than in a waistband. And I have many double action only pistols and revolvers. But I'll tell you, the double action only trigger on this Car P9 is the best double action only trigger I've ever used, and I actually shoot this gun exceptionally, which is why I'm not afraid to carry it. I am a huge knife connoisseur, and I like beauty, function, practicality, and performance from my knives. I usually give myself a small assortment of knives to use depending on my mood or my clothing selection on any particular day. I have over 100 folding knives in my collection, but I usually separate a small number of knives out just for EDC purposes. And depending on what year it is, my EDC assortment will change occasionally. So let's go through what's currently in my EDC rotation. Since fixed blade knives are illegal to conceal in my state, I always carry a folder. Honestly, though, modern folders are very strong and, they're pretty much faster to deploy nowadays than a sheath knife is. So, folders make a lot of sense for EDC knives. So, on the extreme ends of my EDC rotation are special purpose knives. The knives on the right over here are knives I use for pocket carry when the dress occasion is appropriate for that. So let me describe these knives first. This beautiful knife right here is a William Henry knife that my oldest son gifted me years ago. And as you can see, it's just beautiful Damascus steel with 24 karat gold inlays, jewels, and this is woolly mammoth ivory scales, which is just beautiful. And I have this out right now because I need to wear a tuxedo for an occasion next week, and I'll have this beauty in my pocket. And when I wear really light shorts or I go for a run or go for a swim, I use this super lightweight Boker BRLW. And this is an actual German-made Boker, coming right out of the factory in Solingen, Germany. And this knife is just excellent, actually. It has the smallest flipper you'll ever find on a pocket knife, but it's extremely smooth. And this has a nice MagnaCut slicing blade on it and all stainless hardware. So this is very corrosion resistant. And, if I take it for a swim, and if it gets exposed to a lot of sweat while I'm out on a run, it's not going to hurt this knife at all. When I want something very light and small, I tend to grab this knife a lot. So these are specialty EDC knives for pocket carry that I have in my rotation right now. And honestly, these get very minimal use. And over here on the left end of my rotation box is my dedicated self-defense folding knife. And this knife never ever gets used to open boxes or cut rope. This is only used for self-defense. And the purpose of this knife is that I carry this when I'm not allowed to carry a gun. And in that situation, this becomes my primary weapon. And this is a Spyderco Pikal knife made for rapid deployment in the reverse grip, edge-in orientation. I was a student of Southnark back in the day and attended his seminars and classes. Pikal is a Filipino knife style that is very aggressive, and this knife was made to perform Pikal techniques. This is literally the sharpest knife I carry. And when I do carry this knife, this is for defensive purposes only. I always carry a secondary knife for cutting tasks. And just in case this knife gets confiscated or something happens to it, I also have backup knives that are exactly the same. And what's cool about this Pikal knife system is that Spyderco sells a training knife also, a trainer. So I can train Pikal techniques with this. And once again, I only carry these particular knives right here when I can't carry my gun. Now, let's get into the meat of my EDC knives. Basically the stuff I carry 99% of the time. And this right here is my old original Benchmade mini ruckus. And this has the genuine original Blackwood stamp on the blade, which is really cool. 17 years ago, this knife was the best of the best. And it's still really classy today. It is very heavy and kind of rough, but I just love this old knife. And this knife right here is my newest Hinder XM18. My 3.5-inch version of this knife is a little bit too big and heavy for my tastes. And my 3-inch version of this knife I felt was just a little bit too much on the small side. The newer 3.25-inch version with the thinner blade profile is just right in my opinion. And this is just a really hard use knife. S45 VN steel, and it's just built like an absolute tank. And this is a favorite knife of military and law enforcement. And this right here is my absolute favorite button lock knife. This is the Zero Tolerance Double-Aught 44. And the flipper on this is just perfection. The detent is perfection. It's super comfortable. It's easy to carry. And the action on this thing is just the smoothest ever. It's got a full titanium body, ceramic bearings, S45 VN steel, and this honestly could probably be my one and done knife. And this right here is my classiest EDC knife. This is a Chris Reeves Sebenza 31. And this knife has a full titanium body and box elder burl inserts and a really slicey Magna Cut blade on it. I added a Lynch titanium deep clip and double-sided thumb studs to this knife. You know, the smoothness is lacking a little for such a pricey knife. But, you know, I feel that this knife really needs bearings, but it does the job that a knife's supposed to do, and it's absolutely gorgeous. And this knife right here is a Hogue Deca with a Magna Cut blade and Ultim scales. The quality and looks of this knife are just excellent. And I think this knife is the best value for a high quality 100% USA made EDC knife. This knife right here is under $150, and it's about the same weight as a Benchmade bug out, but the Deca is way more rigid and it's cheaper than the bug out. And I actually carry this knife very frequently. And lastly, this beautiful knife right here is my Demco AD 20.5 that's been highly customized. You know, it was the standard version with the G10 scales and the 3V blade, but I added RGT titanium scales to it, full titanium hardware, a Lynch titanium deep pocket clip, and I also added skiff bearings to this thing to make it super smooth. And the shark lock mechanism on this has become my favorite for a folding knife lock. As of right now, this is the knife I carry to work with me every day when I'm wearing Wranglers and boots. And if I only had this knife, I think I'd be totally happy. So that's a summary of my current EDC knife rotation. Over the years, I've tried to like both fancy leather wallets and the new Uber tactical rigid type wallets. But honestly, they both totally suck. I carry a lot of stuff in my wallet, and as far as I'm concerned, all the stuff I carry in here, I need it. When I pack a fancy leather wallet with all my crap and I sit on top of it for months while it's in my back pocket, leather wallets start falling apart on me. It's also over 100 degrees for 5 months of the year where I live, and leather doesn't really mix with sweat, so no leather wallets for me. And those Uber tactical modern wallets don't hold enough stuff for me and are pretty useless in that regard. They're also very uncomfortable to sit on, and if you do, they tend to wear out pants pockets really fast, so screw those too. I've been using this Maxpedition Spartan wallet. I'll easily get 5 years of hard use out of these cheap $30 Maxpedition wallets. And they just hold a massive amount of stuff and they let you organize it very well. And they're really comfortable to sit on and they'll outlast any other wallet. And I've fallen in water and did all kinds of stuff. Moisture and things don't tend to hurt this ballistic nylon. Now let's talk about keys for a second. Luckily, we don't carry a large assortment of keys on us like we used to back in the old days. I don't even carry house keys or work keys anymore because we use combination and biometric locks for everything. And this is literally all that I carry as far as keys go. I mean, this is the key fob for my Super Duty. This is the key to my trailer hitch, and I use this little universal keychain tool too. This little Kershaw multi-tool is one of the most useful things I carry on me, to tell you the truth. It's obviously a bottle opener, a screwdriver, a scraper, and a pry tool. But I use the tip of this to open up boxes all the time rather than dulling the blade on my EDC knife. And what's awesome is that this thing can go through TSA or into any secure location with you. So you'll always have a tool on you. And this is less than $10 on Amazon. And I'll put a link to this and a bunch of other stuff in the description below. I personally wear a watch every day, almost all the time. I made a video last year called Hunting, Fishing, and Adventure Watches, which listed my favorite sporting watches for under $1,000. But in this video, I'm going to be talking more or less about my EDC watches, the watches I wear every day during my normal course of business. Like my knives, I also maintain a regular rotation of watches and use watches based off of my activity or the occasion. I don't like wearing my really expensive watches every day, and I'll never use them while doing tasks that might damage them. In any given month, you'll probably see me use 3 watches right now, purely for EDC purposes. I work in both an office half the time and in the field at job sites half the time. And for work, I'm currently wearing this newer G-Shock GMBZ 5000 with the awesome new MIP display. Around town though, I might wear my old Hamilton khaki field watch. You never know. If I'm dressing up for something special, I used to wear my Omega Aguatera, but lately I've been wearing my Longines Conquest Heritage. I just love the simple, elegant look of this timepiece. Something about this watch just really catches my eye right now. If you turn it over, there's an 18 karat gold hand engraved medallion inlaid into the case back of this watch. And when I'm wearing this watch, people only see the outside of it. So details like this on the inside aren't for everybody else. These are for the user to look at. And I really like watches that appreciate attention to detail like this. And just to go into a little bit more detail on this watch, because for probably the last 3 months, this is what I've been wearing maybe 90% of the time, honestly. And it doesn't matter if I'm in a board meeting at work or, in the morning or later on that afternoon, I'm out in the oil fields or at a demolition site working out there. This is the perfect watch kind of for all of that, you know. And I'm an analog watch guy, if you know me, a huge analog watch guy. So, except for my G Shocks, most of my G Shocks are digital, and this is kind of the coolest G Shock I've ever owned, I think. And this thing is just full of every feature you can ever imagine. It's a Bluetooth watch, so it syncs up with your phone and basically sets itself, so you don't have to go in and do any programming or do anything to it. It's also multi-band 6 compatible, so it basically catches radio signals from around the world to sync your watch with atomic clocks. So your time is extremely accurate. It's also solar powered, and the power reserve on this thing is incredible. I mean, it'll go for damn near half a year on a power reserve without charging. So it's just crazy, and it's got everything you can imagine in it. World time, multi-time, stopwatches, alarms, you name it. It has every feature you can imagine in a watch that isn't a smartwatch. And yeah, it's a pretty incredible watch. It's heavy. I mean, this is one of the full metal squares, and it's a very heavy watch, but it's also a very heavy duty watch, and I think it looks all right. And of course, the new MIP display that Casio put out on some of the new G Shocks is absolutely awesome. I like the MIP negative display like this the best. And you know, they're a little pricey by G Shock standards, but I enjoy this watch. And let's talk about EDC lights for a minute. Back in the day, I used to carry a mini mag light as my EDC flashlight. You know, then better EDC lights came out, and I used those. And then cell phone lights became better flashlights than most of the little EDC lights. Because cell phone lights are so awesome these days, I generally don't EDC a flashlight anymore. But there are times when I do plan to do things at night, and I might put a small flashlight into my pocket or clip it to my pants. I'm really digging these Phoenix E06R EDC lights. These are super bright at different levels. Has a laser in it. It also has a UV light in it. You can lock these out for pocket carry so they don't come on in your pocket. And they're just full of features. The back end of it has a magnet in it, so you can attach this to steel objects and work hands-free. And it's got a clip for your pocket or to mount this light on a hat. It also charges with a USB-C plug, and the battery life on these are pretty long. So I definitely don't carry a flashlight every day, but if I do need an EDC light, I'm currently using this. And this is probably the ultimate EDC tool, a modern cell phone. You know, most of us don't need to carry a flashlight anymore because this has a good light on it. You know, people used to carry a notepad and writing utensils and pens and everything on them. You don't need that anymore. If you want to take a note on something, you just talk into your phone or you type in notes. You don't need to carry anything like that anymore. And of course, it's a communication device. It's a navigation device. It's got everything. So, you know, I see some of these people that carry these huge EDC backpacks and EDC packs, or they pack these big zip up pouches to stuff their pockets with crap. And I just don't do any of that for EDC. I guess you'd say I'm more practical, and modern cell phones is actually kind of a modern EDC multi-tool that we have at our disposal these days. So that is my current EDC, or everyday carry. We're going to do a poll though, in order to determine where I rate on the gentleman hunter scale. Teddy Roosevelt was probably the stereotypical American gentleman hunter. He EDC'd a fine silver pocket watch and a custom engraved FN pistol gifted to him by John Browning himself. Roosevelt was also known for his taste for fine knives. He was a gentleman who loved fine things. Peter Capstick was also a gentleman, but he only cared about practicality and reliability. He did wear a Rolex, but carried simple EDC guns like a Browning High Power and a Ruger 38 revolver. Capstick also carried a fixed blade Randall knife on the belt and a simple Swiss Army knife in the pocket. Peter's Capstick definitely liked simple, plain things. Jack O'Connor was definitely a gentleman, but he also liked simple things. He carried a folding jackknife. O'Connor had a plain 38 revolver that he carried for backup as well. He did wear a watch, but we don't know what kind. O'Connor was a highly educated gentleman, but he preferred plain, simple, usually inexpensive things. Steve Ranella is widely considered to be a modern-day gentleman hunter. Even though he uses Montana knives for hunting right now because they sponsor him, his EDC knife is a Benchmade Grizzly Creek folder. His watch is a cheap, simple Timex Expedition watch. Ranella also seems to like really simple things. Elmer Keith was not considered a gentleman, but he certainly did enjoy nice things. His EDC guns were a custom engraved Colt single action Army and a fully custom Smith & Wesson 44 Magnum. Elmer's favorite knife was a Gil Hibben custom knife that Elmer affectionately called Husky. Elmer Keith definitely loved nice things. Hemingway also wasn't much of a gentleman. He wore numerous Rolexes and a Hamilton field watch, but his EDC did not reflect a connection with high society. Hemingway EDC'd a cheap 22 caliber Colt Woodsman and an old Walther P38. He also carried the cheapest pocket knife available, an Opinel No. 8. Hemingway tended to reject fancy things. They say that you could tell everything about a man by his EDC choices. So, where does Desert Dog fall on this scale? I wouldn't be prudent enough to judge myself, so I'm relying on you guys to do it for me. Based upon my current EDC choices, am I a gentleman hunter with exquisite taste like Roosevelt was? Am I a gentleman hunter with practical taste like Jack O'Connor was? Am I an unrefined man that enjoys finer things like Elmer Keith? Or am I an unrefined man who rejects elitist gear like Hemingway? Rather than lamenting the price of this or that and openly declaring how frugal you are, think of this objectively rather than from a standpoint of class envy. Also, if you're in the upper echelon of wage earners, pretend for a second that you're living within my means. Post your ratings down below in the comment section, and I'll tally them up at the end of the month, make a chart, and discuss the results with you in the March episode of Hunt Camp Mail. Well, thank you for watching, and as always, good hunting.